Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the State of Independent Wrestling on this wonderful, wonderful day. I'm, of course, Phil Better, your podcast mogul, and as always, with me is the Mistress of Pain, Taylor. How are you doing, Mistress?
It's been a bad day. We're going to make it better.
Yes, we will, because tonight we're going to be talking about what we always love to talk about. We're talking wrestling and how you can inflict pain on people. You
We're talking about legalized violence.
Yes, the gladiatorial games of the past have come back and we're allowed to enjoy it. So if you're listening live, please just let us know in the comments what you thought of our topics. If you're watching this on the replay, hit replay because we love to see the interaction on these videos. We do have an announcement, so do stay tuned. We have decided some interesting things going forward. But first off, Mistress, what was your take on wrestling this week?
Wrestling this week was like wrestling every week. It was violent, it was sweaty, it was shiny, and I liked it.
Was there anything that stood out incredibly exuberantly for you? Any painful moments in the fights?
This may surprise you, but two things stood out for me. I really like Otis, and I really like Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio. Not a fan of Dominic. I think he could do his own thing and be out of my sight a little bit more until he's polished. But Rey Mysterio and Otis, I think is a great matchup. I think Otis is hilarious. I think Rey Mysterio is hot as fuck.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Revealed her first crush, Mr. Rey Mysterio, Ray, who I have to say is a gorgeous man and very well. He is chiseled at points in his
And
career.
so polite.
He is. He's a gentleman and a
Yes.
scholar for sure. Um, there was some craziness that's transpired. You had something that I'm always interested in yours because it deals with the darkness. We had Bray Wyatt's House of Fun or Funhouse coming back, and it
Firefly
seemed
Funhouse.
Firefly Funhouse. Thank you. I hope he doesn't burn me for this. But I sensed it was quite different. What was your take on it?
I am on the fence and waiting for this one because I'm not in love with him going back to the past. I really like The Fiend. I do like Alexa taking over the Fiend persona, and I kind of like the stupid little doll, but I'm not sure about the return to the funhouse and the happy-go-lucky Bray. I'm not, I'm not digging it.
Okay.
I'm waiting patiently, a little angrily, but I think it could go somewhere that it leaves me with curiosity more than
So
anything.
you're intrigued by this.
Yeah,
Do you
tentatively.
you're tentatively intrigued? Do you trust the WWE to
Nope.
take? No, of course not. Do you trust
No,
Triple
not with weird
H?
shit.
Do you trust Triple H to take care of it?
I trust Age. I trust him because I've seen NXT and I've seen where all the cool things happen. And then they get to the main roster and it's PG-13. And that's really nice. I was watching wrestling before I was 13 and that's cool. But that was a different day. I was watching wrestling during the Attitude Era.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that should still be okay. And that's probably wrong, but I don't care.
You're allowed. Well, this is something that I'm really interested in because the WWE has shown how powerful and their brand is, and that they essentially could split and have an adults version of wrestling, and they have the PG version of wrestling, and you have a double ecosystem. Would you like to see the WWE do something like that? Have a more adult orient, Raw After Hours, which we thought we were getting with Raw Underground?
I'd be super happy if they split Raw and SmackDown between PG-13 and not PG-13 anymore. That would make my day. I don't really care which one's which. I don't really care if they trade up the wrestlers from time to time. Just give me something that doesn't have teddy bears and happiness and those, you know, car lot blow up. dancing dudes, which I find entertaining, but I don't want in my wrestling.
No, it makes sense. You did touch on something that I wanted to touch on and talk about actually. Miss Alexa Bliss, the underrated performer. She is coming into a new character, like you said earlier, stealing possibly the Fiend, let him in, and has created her own character in Lizzie, I believe it. What are your feels with this? What do you think about this? Give us what the mistress thinks.
Double-edged sword on that, if I'm being perfectly honest, because I love the character. I don't love that she had to steal it. I don't love that characters get recycled between one wrestler and the next. I don't love that angles get recycled between one wrestler and the next. I think there's enough creativity in the world that it should be doable. I don't think the Fiend should be now adopted by somebody else. I don't think she should have stolen it, and I don't think, well, the match between Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton should have ended like that, but that's another
That's something else.
week. Um, all that to say, I like the character. I liked it on Bray Wyatt. I think she could have done something very similar without stealing it. And I don't think that qualified and capable wrestlers need to be other wrestlers' pawns. Leave that for the squirrels. That's what squirrels are for.
Okay, it's an interesting take on this. Would you compare this possibly to Undertaker in a Kane situation from just the beginning of the Attitude Era?
Almost, but Kane and The Undertaker had a separate enough concept. Like, The Undertaker was The Undertaker. He
Mhm.
was very well established. He was always The Undertaker. Even Biker Taker was The Undertaker.
Yeah,
Kane came out and he's like, I'm a little brother. I was set on fire. I got like a real mean streak in me now. And it worked. It wasn't like, I'm little Undertaker and now I'm going to be called Kane. Or I'm Kane and now I'm going to be little Undertaker. Like they were separate enough with a similar edge. And I think that if Alexa had done exactly that, I mean, she had the mean little nasty spirit to begin with, which is why this angle is going to be cool. But she took that mean little nasty spirit of somebody else and applied it to herself, which I don't think she needed to.
do you okay, this is something I want to I'm interested in. To the followers and the watchers, if you're watching live, let us know if you agree or not, or if you're replaying this, let us know. But do you foresee possibly maybe a battle between a Fiend Alexa Bliss and a Fiend Bray Wyatt?
I would love a co-ed match between Wyatt and Bliss. I think that would be amazing. I think it is one of many things that has been missing from wrestling. They did it in the Attitude Era, and I don't see why they can't do it now. I love that. I'm all for that.
Well, speaking of that, yes, I think yeah, having them battle versus each other for the soul of the Fiend, if you will, and then maybe that can help bring Nikki Cross back in to save the soul of Alexa Bliss, but she can always be tainted, and that leaves you that cliff for later. If ever she needs to turn heel, it can be because the poison of the Fiend. But this brings up the fact that you had Miz and John Morrison and Maurice versus Damian Priest. So you did kind of have that co-op match, if you
Yeah.
will, but
Um, Not in the same angle, but yes, I do like that. As much as I liked the mixed match challenge. Um, Problem with that is I don't like seeing Maurice in the ring.
it's fine. You're allowed. You're allowed your opinion. This is, of course, all entertainment. We're just commenting on how we feel.
And
Ooh,
we stuck a woman in a handicap match. So was she really in the match? Was it really a match?
yeah,
Or was it just a beatdown on Damian Priest? So, I mean, they did a good job of it, sure, but that's not really what I'm looking for.
no. And this is Damian Priest's entry into pretty much the mainstream roster from his amazing time in the NXT and do go watch his previous matches because you will be blown away from it. But it seems like Miz has, in my opinion, and from watching, been relegated into pretty much hyping up the up and coming stars from NXT by getting into these amazing programs. Do you feel the same way, or do you think like you're done seeing Miz be floundered as he is?
I begrudgingly, because I do not like The Miz, I can't stand looking at his lab rat face. Um, I grudgingly admit that he is a star maker. He could have a good match with a broom. I would hate watching it, but he could make it happen with his eyes closed and one arm behind his back. He is excellent. He is amazing at putting people over. He's amazing at, being enough of a turd to make anybody the star. So, so I think that using him in that way is the best use for the company. Is it the best use for him and his character? Maybe not. But at this point, he doesn't have a lot left to prove. So
It's true.
he can do a few months or a year like that. John Cena did it,
Yeah,
and then they'll give him the belt again, and
yeah.
then a couple years down the line he'll retire, and that'll be a happy little career.
It's true. Speaking, because we did speak of Maurice and how you did enjoy her in the fact that she was not really in that match. Let's touch on Asuka and Rhea Ripley's finish being a no contest because the Queen is back.
I could do without Charlotte. I think that Asuka and Rhea Ripley should be granted the time to just battle it out. Like they're the kind of women that go out there and have a slobber knocker of a fight. Like we
They're
can
your
go and
heavyweights.
kick it old school. We can do it with these girls. Let's watch this. Let's not have some chick come out and interfere. Like let's watch a fight. Let's see a real fight. Um,
Less diva
yeah.
esque type fighting and more the old school men wrestling type matches. That's what we want here.
Mhm.
Um, do you feel that they may be trying to shoehorn Charlotte into the fight, um, kind of like they did for Becky versus Ronda at WrestleMania, with Charlotte Flair being there?
I think they're trying to place Charlotte in the match because Charlotte is Charlotte and she has the look, she's got the blonde hair, she's got the great physique,
She's got
she's
the
got the
pedigree.
moves, she's got the personality of a freaking carrot. I she's got the pedigree, she's got everything that you could want except any kind of, entertainment factor for me. Um I would rather see a match without her. I would rather see a main event without her. For a change, it's time to let some of the girls take the spot for a WrestleMania or us, you know, uh, Hell in a Cell or whatever. All of them for a year or two, and then stick her back in. But she's kind of been jammed down your throat. She's kind of taken place of Roman Reigns. And
Mm.
granted, we like her, and people didn't like Roman Reigns. Um,
I do like the new attitude of she's like I make opportunities. So I do enjoy that type of. I always enjoyed her as a villain, just like because it's Ric Flair's daughter. Like Ric Flair was the best when he was that. You just love to hate him. And again, if you're watching live, let us know what you think. Do you agree with us that Charlotte's being shoehorned in because she is the daughter of the Nature Boy, Ric Flair? Let us know, please. We love to hear your opinions. We're gonna go on to a big main event this week. I feel you had Drew McIntyre versus Braun Strowman, the Monster Among Men, versus the Legend Killer Randy Orton, to see for the number one contender for Bobby Lashley's title. Um, your opinion on this match?
Fire Bobby Lashley. Get rid of him. Or better yet, put him in a mask like Kane. You couldn't see his face, and then he wouldn't look terrified. Just put a mask on him.
Oh my
Keep that amazing physique. Keep, like he's got the moves, don't get me wrong. He just doesn't do them with any kind of,
panache.
finesse or beauty to them. He just does them. He goes out and he Legos them. Um, keep all that. That's cool. But put like I can't take looking at him terrified. I can't take him being that frightened all the time, all the time. And while I love watching Randy Orton and I love him as a villain even more than I love him like that pose, I,
It's
I
the sexiest
fangirl.
pose
I
in wrestling.
can't help
It's
it.
the sexiest pose in wrestling.
Hardest working pose in wrestling. Um,
Hmm.
but I don't think that he is required. I think there's enough star power in the match with Braun Strowman and Drew McIntyre that we don't need to stick in Randy Orton just in case. Um,
Well, here's the thing: was it more trying to protect Braun Strowman from being weak? Because technically, it was Randy Orton that got pinned for Drew McIntyre to win the match. He came in with these baseball slide claymore,
hmm,
and then covered him after Braun got, RKO'd or got put down. So Braun still looks like a monster among men because he wasn't pinned. His celebrity status and cult like following will never be hurt, no matter how many wins he takes. Because you throw him in a small match and he takes out another legend, and everybody hates to love him again.
hmm.
But was this a way to protect a possible Drew McIntyre Braun Strowman match coming down the line?
I think it should have been a way to say, okay, so he got pinned, so tick him off the list and let them go. It may have been to protect them from a loss, but I don't really think either of their characters needs that kind of coddling. Neither of them is coming back from any kind of severe injury or anything like that. Like they don't need the grace. And there are definitely people who could use that kind of stepping stone. So
Hmm.
I just felt like it was
A wasted
added flesh
opportunity.
for not enough dollar.
Okay. Now, we're going to talk about your love affair with Rey Mysterio. Now, he defeated the big boy Otis, who used to be with the sexy muscle friend Mandy Rose. Which I'm
Mhm.
disappointed that they were broken up. I love that. Gave me hope, as a
I
large
I
fan at one
loved
point.
that angle. Loved it.
That was amazing. I think it's a shame that it was foiled and they stopped using it because give me hope, that I could land a sexy muscle girl like Mandy Rose and I could be the Otis. But what do you, are, how do you feel about how they're treating Otis?
I think his look is holding him back. I think his look is what delights me. I think that he's supremely qualified, but he's
He has
kind of
blood.
goofy.
Yeah.
And like he does give you a Keebler Elf vibe,
Oh
and
yeah.
but the little kick he used to do, and he doesn't do it as much anymore. It was hilarious. It made me laugh every single time, and he was so endearing. And then he'd beat the fuck out of people, and like this is delightful to me.
As you well know, you are our mistress of pain, and you do enjoy inflicting that pain on everybody who upsets you. So you were happy, obviously, that your love affair with Ray and the 619 won it. Um,
I was
do you?
happy with the match overall, just because I love watching them both go. 619 winning it is a happy bonus. Um, I think they should have a rematch.
I do see for a feud happening. Uh, More than likely, you'll have Dominic versus Chad there, then a tag team match, most probably a nice little trio of matches, to decide the actual winning team, if you will. And no, I do enjoy it. Ray has always been one of my favorites from the time in WCW to now. He he doesn't get enough love that he should because he's so amazing in the match with his athletic ability, and hopefully his son can get more polished, and obviously it will. Um, yeah. Now we're moving on to something that I want to know about. Two Canadians going at it again. What's the world coming to? You have Sami Zayn being more, what is he? More tinfoiled hat, if you will, against the man who fights all the time, Kevin Owens. What's your opinion of the fight?
I don't know why Sami Zayn's acting like he came from Alberta.
And for anybody who's not from Canada, Alberta's are Texas, if you will.
Yeah.
That's the best way of explaining it. And he's
We
actually
kind of love them, but it's
we
only
don't
for the
understand them.
beef.
We don't understand them. But anyways, so yeah, for some reason he's not embracing his his French Canadian heritage. He's, his is he Syrian or Lebanese?
I had heard Albanian, but
He's I know he's in the Middle East and he supports that as we do. Everybody has the right to freedom of expression and that,
mhm.
but he's fighting against his boy who always puts on amazing matches. The one Kevin Owens, who's a phenomenal fighter, and can sell anything. Um, and they always put on good matches. What did you feel of this match?
I love the count out. I think it's the greatest heel move. And I think that taking the tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist to that level was so cool. And I think the ranting is very well done. It's very believable. He looks like a nutter. It's delightful to me. You got to sit there and wonder, like, yeah, I'm not sure about this one. Like, is he
Is it
getting on
right?
board with his angle? Like, I really like it, and I like watching him get beat up for being crazy,
Well then, well,
affectionately, of course.
affectionately, yes. And of course, Kevin Owens is a personal favorite of mine. I always enjoy his matches because he always
Beats people
inspires.
up.
Yeah, he gets people up. He can any match. He's like you put him in a match, he'll either sell to make sure the match is amazing, or he'll put on a clinic on his ability to wrestle for such a
Mhm.
large guy too. And it's nice seeing like a huskier guy like myself be a badass fighter. So it's and
And
being
nimble and
very
fast
nimble
and
and fast.
strong.
Yeah. And
And I don't
funny.
know if you remember the first time you saw a pop-up power bomb, but I remember the first time I saw a pop-up power bomb, and that
Yeah.
was cool.
Yeah. His finisher, and I love how um the new generation, he's part of the like he's a mid generation, if you will. But he's a product of the Attitude Era, and he's been blessed with the ability to do the stunner. Because there are certain moves in wrestling lore that you don't
You don't
touch.
touch it.
You don't touch. You need permission. If anything, you get permission first, like the
Mhm.
mandible claw. Not all wrestlers do it. You had the great Mick Foley do it, and now you have Brian Wyatt doing it, but because he's in the same type of character. And you have now Austin Stunner being given to the KO because he's in the same type of position that Austin was when
Yeah.
Austin won the Attitude. So it's nice to see that they're getting the recognition, allowed to use these pretty much these awesome finishers that when we were growing up, like no one kicked out of the stunner. No one. It was a one.
Big Show
No.
did 3 times.
Yeah. Well, that's what. Why? Because he's the Big Show, and
Correct.
now he's Paul White over on AEW, which I'm looking forward. He's amazing on commentary, and I'm looking forward to when he starts wrestling. Coming as after his 90 days, I think, are done with his contract, which I can't. I hope they get rid of those. I think
Yeah.
it's silly. Maybe 30 days. I'm okay with 30 days, 30 days, but like 60, 90 days. Why are you doing? Let them fight. But I think that's going to be changed soon with the independents being so popular. And hopefully soon people will be having guests on from the independents talking about their experiences. So we're looking forward to that. Um, Now we go to the head of the table, the top of the order. We have Cesaro finally getting some recognition. Well, you would think, but then getting dismissed from the table from the tribal chief. What are your feelings on that?
I have never seen a sicker burn. I have never seen that. It was excellent. I would have loved to see Cesaro pick up the mic and be like, "Yo, no, you don't do that to me." I would have loved to see him go in the back and when he asked for the match and they were like, "Yeah, okay, we'll check into it." Him not be like, "No, you earned that. Act like you've been there before. You know you like."
Yeah, he's a champ. He has the pedigree, so
He
he
has
has to.
every reason to be there and be getting that match. Um, that's my only problem with that. I love that he's getting. the match. I love that they stuck him in the ring with
Jay.
Jey Uso instead of Reigns. I love that they healed it and healed it and healed it. I like it. I can't wait for the match to happen.
Oh yeah,
And
no,
I
it's
really
gonna
hope
be good.
he puts on a clinic.
Well, here you also have, um, coming off his win at WrestleMania, you end up having Seth Rollins interfering in the match because of the big swing. And do you sense maybe a mini Shield reunion happening, since you have the two biggest heels, if you will, in Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns? Used to be the two biggest good guys. Maybe a quid pro quo type situation happening.
I could see it happening, but more than that, I can see a three-way.
Well, we know
Yeah.
how much you would enjoy a three-way. But moving on. So you think Seth Rollins going to interfere in enough into the situation to, or the fights to get
Try and steal the
into?
glory. That's what Seth Rollins does.
Yeah, that's what the Messiah does. He does like taking over that picturesque views and that. Your thoughts on when we'll see this fight? Is it going to be a triple pay-per-view time, or is it going to be the main event of the next pay-per-view? What are your thoughts?
I think we're gonna skip one. It's
Mm,
gonna play out slow and sure. There's gonna be a slow boil on this one for sure. The names are too big,
okay.
and it's got too much draw for Cesaro, and they know this. So I'm hoping they play it right and they keep it going for a good 6 7 months. That would be my preference.
Do you see Cesaro maybe taking the belt and getting a nice
Hopefully,
little? Okay,
I hope so. I hope they trade it back and forth for a while, and then I hope somebody out of nowhere, like in the old days, comes up and is like, "Hey,
mine.
I'm the number one contender now," and slips in and
That could
snatches it,
be
and then they're like,
that could be a great way to bring Lesnar back.
or it couldn't.
Yeah, of course. That
Why not just give it to Bobby Lashley and just have him switch shows? Like,
true
let's
though.
just make all my dreams shatter.
Well, I am a fan of Goldust, and he did do the Shattered Dreams, but so I'm just shattering your dreams. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's where we're ending this week. But the big announcement we had, thank you for tuning in to the end of the show. That one loyal fan, we love you. We have a name for the podcast. Mistress, would you like to let everyone know what the name is?
It is the Better Pain Wrestling Podcast.
So that you can start finding that soon on social medias. We're launching it shortly. Everybody here watching, thank you so much for enjoying the show, wrestling with us. Let us know who you want to see on the show. If you have an independent wrestler you want on, we want to interview them. We're planning out guests. We already have our first guest maybe in 2 to 3 weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, I am, of course, Phil Better, the podcast mogul. Beside me, and gorgeous as always, is the mistress of pain, Taylor. And I thank you so much for being a fan of this show, and we'll see you next week.